To talk about the eye issue that I had last weekend, which gave me a little bit of a scare because I am a little bit of I stress out a lot and sometimes I can be a little dramatic, in case you didn't already figure that out. But yeah, so what ended up happening on Saturday night, I was wearing my contacts literally all morning because I wear them usually to the gym just because it's I'm learning handstands and stuff, and my glasses keep slipping off my face, so sometimes it's a little harder to do all the handstands and all that fun stuff, so I usually wear my contacts. So I wore them all day, and then I had to go to a baby shower, so I went to the baby shower, didn't take them off. Then had to go to meet up with a group of friends because another friend was visiting. So I wore them all day from like 8 a.m. to about like 1 a.m. So normally I don't wear them that long, and I usually take them out in between or whatever. But this weekend I just was like, YOLO. Never YOLO with your eyes, guys. It's not good. So anyway, so I took them out. Thought everything was fine. It was kind of pinching, like it hurt a little bit. Like you close my eyes and I could feel it kind of like pulse, like my eye kind of like pulsing, if you know what I mean. Anyways, so I was like, it's fine, I'm just probably tired. I went to bed. Then I woke up the next morning and my eye was watering and I could barely keep it open. Anytime I tried to just open my eye, it started watering like crazy. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm just tired. So I lay back down, tried to go back to sleep. And then I had a panic, kind of like a stress out, panic, anxiety moment. Because while I was lying down, I'm like, oh my God, what if my eye is going to be ruined? What if I can't see? What if my eyesight is lost because I haven't gone to check, because I didn't get it checked, I'm not getting it checked out. So I started to panic, and then I couldn't breathe, and I was like about to tear up. So I ran over to my sister's room and was like, can you take me to the doctors, because I really need to go, like I need to go to either the urgent care or emergency, something. But I just, and I was, obviously I'm, saying this now, but literally I was like, my eye was watering and this eye wouldn't open, so I was like, can we go to the doctors? And that's literally what I looked like. It was kind of embarrassing. So she was like, all right, fine, cool. So she drives me to the urgent care, and she drops me off, and I go inside to ask the receptionist how long it's going to take, and she's like, 2 hours, and I'm like, really? And she could see my eyes literally watering. This one barely is open, and she's like, no, it's gonna take 2 hours. I'm like, great. Urgent care clearly doesn't mean anything. So I was kind of annoyed, so I messaged my sister, I'm like, it's gonna be about 2 hours. And messaging with one eye is a lot harder, especially when like this one is like half open and you're like, I just want to just need to tell you this, and it was just really annoying. So I messaged her and I was like, okay, it's going to be 2 hours. So she's like, all right, I have to go, because she hadn't eaten breakfast. So I'm like, okay, go home, eat breakfast, do whatever. So she leaves, and I'm just sitting there on the bench just waiting. And while I'm waiting, I'm talking to a few people. I'm messaging my parents who are in, I think they're in Vancouver now. They were in Alaska. They were on a cruise, but now they were in BC. So I'm messaging my mom, and she's like, oh, why'd your sister leave? And I'm like, everything's fine. So she calls to talk to me, so she calls to talk to me, and she's asking me how it's going, and I'm like, and then I started feeling sorry for myself, because like I said, I'm a little bit dramatic, so I felt sorry for myself. Then I started to cry, but then my eye hurt more. My eye hurt more as I was trying to cry. So I'm like, my eye's like half shut, and then this one's like, I look hideous at this point. And my nose is running because, your eyes and your nose, they're kind of connected together. So my eyes are watering, my nose is watering, my nose is running. So I'm like blowing my nose, wiping my eye. I look like a horrible mess. I'm surprised my eye wasn't like expanded and like 5 sizes too big by this point, but it wasn't. So I'm just like, in animes, if you ever watch animes, when they're crying and then they're like, because I'm watching No Hero Academia, and the guy keeps crying, Midoriya, he keeps crying, and every time he cries, his eyes tear up, but then his nose runs. That's literally what I looked like. It was kind of sad and pathetic. But anyway, so I'm doing this on the phone with my mom. I'm like, hey, it's going to be 2 hours, blah, blah, blah. They're like, why is it taking so long? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't that calm. I was like, I don't know. And then I felt sorry for myself again. So then eventually I go to ask one of the other receptionists, and she's like, oh, we messaged the doctor, hopefully she'll be here as soon as possible. I'm like, okay. I went back down, sitting there like sobbing. One of my friends, I was telling her what was going on, so she's like, can I call you? I'm like, okay. So I'm like on the phone with her, and she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. Like, trying not to cry, and she's like, don't cry. I'm like, it's not, I'm fine. Apparently, that's, like I said, I'm a little dramatic. So then eventually I hung up with her, went back to the other receptionist, and I'm like, can you, because like my eyes at this point, I was like, it was horrible. And I'm like, I just kept both eyes closed at this point, because I'm like, if I try to open this one even, it waters and it hurts, and I'm just like, I don't feel like doing anything at all. So she's like, okay, we've let her know, don't, like, and at this point now she's a little bit like, don't worry, I understand the urgency. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm messaging my mom, telling her that I'm about to go in, and then some lady, she's so sweet, she was trying to tell me, don't worry, she's like, it's probably nothing. She was telling me how she got scratched by her dog, and she's like, my cornea got scratched. She's like, I went to the urgent care, they sent me to the emergency. She's like, it's probably just nothing, don't worry about it. But while she's telling me, I'm messaging my mom, so I'm like, okay, thank you. And then messaging my mom, then I hear the lady calling me Sheba, and I'm like, thank you, lady. So I get up and go. So I'm pretty sure it sounded like I was being rude and unappreciative of this lady's advice, but it really was. I was just kind of like, at this point, just, I was one hot mess. So I get up, I go, and yes, by the way, my hair is an absolute mess, because I literally rolled out of bed and was like, I think I brushed my teeth. That was pretty much all I got. Brushed my teeth and washed my face were the only two things that I was able to get out. But I didn't fix my hair, so my hair is a big bun, not a big bun, a small tiny bun on the top of my head, with my hair just like sticking out everywhere. If anybody, if you've ever had the pleasure of seeing me wake up in the morning, you know what I mean by my hair looked hideous. I have curly hair, so it's like everywhere. So yeah, I'm like, I have this watery eye, runny nose, and hideous hair. I looked super attractive at this point. So I go to talk to the doctor, and the doctor's like, she uses one of those, the light thingies, sometimes they use them in your ear, so she uses that, and she like goes back and forth to my eye, and she's like, yeah, I don't see anything wrong. And I'm like, what do you mean? Because like at this point, my eye, like I said, it's bad. So I'm like, there's clearly something wrong, but I don't know what it is, and she doesn't know what it is. So she's like, I'll give you some drops. I'm like, all right, cool. So I go to the pharmacy to go get these drops. While I'm standing there with the prescription paper in my hand, I put it on the desk, but then it slipped and falls onto it literally floats down, and I'm like watching it with one eye. I'm like, no, because the other one wouldn't stay open either. So I'm like, okay. So I bend over to try to get it with my eyes like half open, like this much. And some man who is, trying to be really sweet and helpful, like he moved to come help me, but I kind of like bent over and like fiddled around, found it. And then I just kind of like half opened my eyes to be like, what was happening over there behind me? And he's like, oh, I was just trying to help you. I'm like, thanks. But I'm still like, my eyes are still like watering, and I still look hideous. So I'm like, thank you. And, like trying to be really polite, but I don't think I didn't come off as mean this time around, but I just looked super scary. And I looked like I was having issues, so people were trying to be really nice and help me. So then I get the drops, and the guy's like, okay, make sure you put it in like this, and don't let the tip of the eye drop touch your eye. And I was like, oh God, which made me panic even more. And I was like, what if it happens by accident? And I'm like panicking. So we get to the car. My sister's like sitting in the back, because my eyes, like I came out of the office, like the doctor's office, and I'm like, yeah, and like my eyes are closed because the sun was hurting it, all light was hurting it. So I come out, and I'm like, I clearly can't find my sister's car. So she had to roll the window. She's like, I'm here. I'm like, okay. And like half opening, half walking towards the car. I sit in the back seat. She puts in the eye drops, and I'm like, don't touch the eye part. And she's like, all right, cool, I got this. She puts in the eye drops, and I'm like, yeah, the doctor said I should maybe get an eye patch, which, let's be honest, I was kind of excited about that because I get to be a pirate, but So she's like, okay, well, we'll go pick up an eye patch, and then do you want to go to the hospital, like the emergency room? And I'm like, part of me was like, nah, I don't want to wait again. But I'm like, at the same time, if they have specialized equipment, it's probably better. So I was like, it's probably better that I go to the emergency. So she takes me we go to Shoppers, she picks up an eye patch for me. I sit there in the car with an eye patch on my eye, and I'm like, my eye really hurts, but I'm wearing an eye patch, and that's lots of fun, because, I've always secretly liked and been obsessed with pirates all through university, at least. That was my weird obsession. So I had an eye patch on my eye, and in my head, I didn't say this out loud because my sister already thinks I'm a big nerd. in my head I was just like, "Arr, savvy," and all the pirate lingo I could think of was going through my head. But I was also still feeling sorry for myself, so I was like, "Arr," like, you know, it was just kind of weird. Anyway, so then we get to the emergency, and I'm like half, like my sister's walking ahead of me, and I'm like half like feeling out where I am kind of thing with an eye patch, and oh god, it was so embarrassing. We finally I get inside, I talk to the triage nurse, and she's like, oh, she asked me all these questions and explained what happened. And I'm like, do they have, I'm like, we just came from the urgent care, but they didn't have any equipment, so they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. So I'm like, do you have specialized equipment that they can actually see what's wrong with my eye? And she's like, yeah, we have an ophthalmologist on call. We have specialized equipment, so don't worry about it. I'm like, all right, cool. So we wait. Thankfully, it wasn't a long wait. I get inside. They finally call me in, and I go inside, and one of the doctors gets there first. And he's got one of those things, like if you've ever been to an optometrist's office, it's the one where you like you sit your chin on like this, and then your forehead kind of like sits against it, and then it's a thing that kind of like with a light, and they scan your eye to see what's wrong with it. And there's another little part that goes with it. So anyway, so the guy's like, first like, open your eye. I'm like, okay, this is as much as it'll go. And the other eye's like, so I'm like, and he's like, really? And I'm like, this is all I can do. And then so when I use that, I put my chin forehead thingy onto that machine. And then he's like, open your eye, your right eye. I'm like, okay. And he's like, really? And I'm like, you know, well, he didn't say really, but he's like, can you open it more? And I'm like, so I'm like, you know what, hold on a second. And I'm like, I'm having a full conversation with this guy, like, don't worry, I got this. And I'm like, hold on a second. And then so I kind of grabbed my finger like this and I pulled it open, but it wasn't enough. He's like, can you pull it open more? I'm like, yeah. So I'm like doing this, and he's like, he just keeps going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And he's like, and I'm like, okay. And then he like adjusts some like thing in the side, and he's like, I'll be right back. And I'm like, okay. So he gets up and leaves, and I'm just like waiting there, like kind of just like, what happens? What am I gonna do? Then he comes back in with another doctor, and the other doctor is like, which I'm assuming is the ophthalmologist at this point. But I didn't ask. I was just like, this guy seems to know more, because as soon as the other doctor walked in, he's like, did you put in these drops to help numb the pain? And the guy's like, no. He's like, well, you have to do that. Did you put the dye in? He's like, no. So the guy's like, okay. So at this point, I'm already like, oh, thank God, somebody who knows what he's talking about. So he puts in the dye, and as soon as he puts it in, it stings. He's like, it's going to sting a little. I'm like, more than it already is? I'm like, is it the same stinging pain that I'm already feeling? Because I can't really, because it just feels the same. He's like, yeah, it's the same stinging pain. I'm like, cool. And about like, I think it was maybe like 20 to 30 seconds. It was really, I don't know, I'm saying 20 to 30, it could have been like 5 seconds for all I know. But very quickly, I was able to open up my eye again. I'm like, wow, I can see. I was so excited. I was like, yay. And then he puts the dye in, takes a look at my eye, uses the machine again, and he's like, no, everything seems to be fine. He's like, your cornea was just irritated from the contact, and it kind of scratched it a little bit. So just use I'll give you some antibiotics and some other drops that will help kind of heal it in the next few days. So don't worry about it. I'm like, all right, cool. And then I was like, how long does this like numbing thing last? And he's like, a few hours. I'm like, yes. And go get the drops, go home, put those drops in, and my eyes will be great. And he's like, you'll probably see results by the end of the day. I'm like, awesome. So I go back to my sister. She gets, we go to Costco, we pick up the drops. While we're at like literally walking inside to go get the drops from Costco, the numbing thing starts to wear off, and I'm like, oh no, and then, so I can't see anymore. So I'm like, my eye's watering, and I'm like, I can't see from this eye again. I'm walking to Costco like, what is life? And I'm like, telling my sister, I'm like, the guy said it was gonna last a few hours. I felt like really, really kind of hurt that it didn't last a few hours. So finally get to the prescription counter. I give the prescription. The guy's like, the lady's like, okay, yeah, it'll take a few minutes. I'm like, cool. So the thing says 1:13 is when the prescription will be ready. And I'm like, I go over to my sister, I'm like, what time is it? She's like, 12:40 something. And I was like, great, longer that I have to wait here. But it wasn't their fault. It was just kind of, I wanted to get these drops in my eye and like relax kind of thing. So we walk around for a bit. My sister's like walking ahead of me, and I was like, oh God. Like, because I would just stand with my eyes closed at one point. And then I opened my eyes and I'm like, my sister's gone. So I'm like, where'd she go? So at one point I was like, I'm like, can you just let me know before you like leave somewhere? Because I can't, I'm going to stand here with my eyes closed. But she didn't hear me because I didn't say it too loud. So I like closed my eyes and was standing there. I opened my eyes. She like was already on the way, like walking somewhere else. I'm like, I told you to tell me when you were leaving. She's like, oh, my bad, I didn't hear you. And I was like, rude. So I'm like, I felt like really kind of like awkward. And I was like trying to weave in and out of people with my eyes half open. It was the worst. So then we get a little early back to the prescription area. And I'm like, is it ready? And the guy's like, no. The lady's like, no, it's not. But you could see that I'm like really like stressed, like really like, I'm just in pain and just stressed out kind of thing. I mean, I didn't tell her that. I wasn't upset with her or anything like that. But like you can see from my face how difficult it is to even just open my eye to talk to her. So because I'm trying to look at her, she's like, okay, well, how about you just take a seat? She's like, I will call you when it's ready and you won't have to come wait back in line. I was like, oh thank God. So I'm sitting on the chair and then the other pharmacist comes over and he's like, oh, here are the drops. And he's like, let me explain. So he's explaining it to me and I'm like, but I'm like half paying attention because my eyes are half open and I'm like, honestly, all I can think about is getting these drops in my eyes. So I'm like, and he was half talking to me, half talking to my sister, but my sister also wasn't paying attention. So I'm like, okay, and then he gives me the drops and I walk over to go pay for them, and then I'm like, wait, which one is the one that I'm supposed to use 4 times a day, and which one am I supposed to use only twice a day? And she's like, did the guy tell you? And I was like, yeah, but I was half paying attention. I thought I was paying attention, but I wasn't. So she goes and asks the pharmacist, he explains it again, he's like, it's on the label. I'm like, well, I can't see right now. All I can see is like, one's blue and one's red. Just tell me which one and that's all I need to know. So he kind of explained it to me and I was like, fine, whatever, I'll look at the label later anyways. Went home, put the drops in, passed out for like a few hours. And then I woke up and it was a little bit better. It was still stinging a little, but not as bad. And then a few days after it was fine. So yeah, that was my experience on the weekend of, and that same Sunday, I forgot to mention, was the day that I was supposed to be dressed up as Yasmin, whatever, for the Doctor Who Trivia Night with Cause Party Toronto. And because of my little contact fiasco, I was unable to attend, and I was really heartbroken because I was really looking forward to it. So yeah, but this Friday they're having their Hunger Games / Battle Sports thing, so I have bought a ticket. I'm not wearing my contacts all week, and I will totally be able to go to that, so I'm really excited. And yeah, I'm not, anyways. So yeah, that's that experience. I had a lot of experiences at the doctor's office, at the doctor's / hospital. The other day, not the other day, during the school year, I had you can sort of tell it's a little fatter. It's getting better, but it's still a little fat here on the side. But I tried to catch a volleyball in the air, and it bent my finger back. I made a video about that before, I think. But anyways, I bent my finger back, it expanded to like twice the size of my normal finger. And then that freaked me out, and I'm pretty sure I cried about that too. And then went to the doctors, and then I was like, wah, and then they gave me a little cast thingy, and that was that for a while. And then they're like, and then I went for a checkup later, and they're like, everything's fine. I'm like, but my finger doesn't look the same. Anyways, they're like, there's a slight fraction, like a slight little hairline. And I'm like, so can you fix it? I'm like, no. I'm like, anyways, so yeah, so now my finger's fat and chunky on this side. I mean, not fat, it's just swollen. That's the right word, swollen, compared to my other finger. Anyways, that's that. But yeah, and then because I've been taking singing lessons, I went to go get my vocal cords checked out because with my vocal coach, she was like, maybe you should check because my voice is very raspy, and when I'm tired or when I'm teaching, it gets even more raspy. So she's like, I want you to check to make sure that you don't have nodes or anything like that. So I went to go check it out at the ENT. And that was a funny story. Let me tell you that. I make an appointment, I go to see him, and he's like, okay, so what's happening? I give him the rundown that, my my voice is very raspy, blah, blah, blah. I just want to make sure that I don't have nodes or anything like that, or I haven't ruined my vocal cords. He's like, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a little camera / telescope, and he's like, I'm just going to stick it up your nose, and he's like, I'm going to stick it up because it's connected to, part of your esophagus in case, it's like this and it goes through your nose kind of thing. So he's like, I'm gonna stick it up your nose and just kind of like take a look down in your like your trachea kind of thing to see if there's anything there. So I'm like, all right, cool. He's like, it's gonna hurt a little bit, but don't worry about it. It's just uncomfortable for a while and then you're fine. I'm like, cool. He's like, I'm gonna stick it up there, but while I'm doing that, don't move back. And I'm like, don't move back. Of course I won't move back. So he starts to stick it in my nose and I'm like, oh dear God, what is this? Like, it literally feels like someone, obviously you're getting something stuck up your nose, but I can't even describe the uncomfortable pain that was happening. And I'm thinking that there's like a faucet of blood going to be happening after he pulls this thing out. So So he's like putting it up my nose, and as he's putting it up my nose, he's like, don't move back. And I'm like, I know, but I keep moving back, and I'm like going back further and further, and I'm like, this is how I was sitting when I got there. And by the time he put the thing in my nose, I was like this. And there's no back to the chair, so I'm literally just like, keep going, and the wall's further behind, so I just kept falling back, like, ugh. And he's like, don't, and he's literally like no nonsense kind of guy, and he's like, don't, just, okay. And then he just was like, at this point he just gives up. So he's like looking down, and he like pulls it out, and I was like, oh, and I like, as he's pulling it out, I like sit up straighter, and I'm like, I'm so sorry that I like moved back. He's like, yeah, well, you know, it just makes it harder to look at. And I was like, well, you know, what can I do? And then I'm like, he gives me a tissue because I felt like my nose was bleeding. So I'm just sitting there like cleaning my nose, and I'm like, there's no blood. So I'm like literally just, I was expecting like there to be a little bit of blood. There was nothing. So he's like, yeah, everything's fine, blah, 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 whatever. And I'm like, all right, cool. So that was great. But that camera incident was very interesting, and I would not recommend it to anybody. If you're like, yeah, I want to just get my throat checked, and the other thing I kept thinking about while this was happening, I was like, good thing when mummies die or people died in ancient Egypt, they were dead for this, because honestly, can you imagine trying to pull out a brain through your nose? Like, what? Like, no, that's just like weirdness. Anyways, so that was that. But yeah, I've had 3 experiences at the doctor's office, doctor/hospital within the last school year. So yeah, I'm like, I don't think if I could stay away from more doctors/hospitals would be great. I'm going to Comic-Con next Tuesday, inshallah. I bought a new pair of contacts, so I'm bringing those with me while I'm there. I'll take the extra eye drops with me as well. Although I might test it out to see how my eyes do, just to put on my makeup at least, and then take off the contacts afterwards. I might just end up cosplaying with my glasses, because I do have a purple pair of glasses that I can wear for my Raven cosplay, and then the black ones I can use for Harley Quinn and Spider-Gwen. Which is interesting because I've always had this thing with glasses that I always found that anytime I have to even if I put makeup on with my glasses, I just feel like a hideous troll for some reason. I don't know why that is. I don't think other people are. It's just a me thing. Like, I think other people who wear their glasses and put makeup on are always beautiful, whether they have makeup on or without makeup. But for some reason with me, when my eyes, first of all, look like this big because my lenses are so, like, my prescription is so high, my lenses are so thick, so my eyes look like they're this big when they're really a lot bigger than that. And the funny thing about that story is that I was trying on some glasses randomly with my best friend. We went, like, this is a few years back, and I took them off and was trying on a pair of glasses, and she's like, oh, those look nice, and she's like, wait, your eyes are actually pretty big. And I was like, yeah, that's because, she's like, I never noticed that. I'm like, yeah, that's because my prescription is so high, my lenses are so thick that it looks like I have eyes that are this big. And then it just makes me look weird and creepy and like a creepy beady-eyed little person, which is annoying. So on top of that, plus just a whole bunch of insecurities that I've had with glasses over the years, I always feel like a troll for some reason. So I'm like, oh great, I'm gonna go to Comic-Con, and I'm gonna dress up, and I'll be all, you know, whatever, and I'll just look hideous because I'll be wearing glasses. Which I was telling a friend this, and he's just like, dude, like, of all the places where it's uncool to, like, where it might be considered odd that you're wearing glasses, Comic-Con is the least likely of places for that to happen. And I'm like, true, because it's the nerdiest, geekiest place in the world, and nobody's gonna care. So yeah, I will bring my glasses obviously with me, and I will bring the contacts just in case. You know, if my eyes decide that they're like, hey, you're good. I mean, they're fine now, and they should be fine while I'm in California, but I'm obviously not gonna exert the thing while I'm there. Or I'll just wear them for a few hours and then switch them out and wear my glasses, whatever. But it's just so I can put on eyeliner. Like, I can do the rest of my makeup fine. It's just the eyeliner is hardest with my glasses on because I have to be this close to a mirror. And yeah, it kind of sucks. And this one is always easier to do, and this one always ends up hitting the glass. So I'm like, yeah, and I can't see anything at all. And then they're not even, and they have to be even. So it stresses me out to no end, and it takes 3 times as long to do my makeup with my glasses on. And not even all of my makeup, just the eyeliner. So I might just wear my contacts to put on my makeup and then take them off afterwards. Anyways, now that I've finished all of my stories, I'm going to let you go because, you know, that's all that. This is way too long already. Next time I'm going to be recording videos while I'm at Comic-Con. I might not be able to upload anything while I'm there, just because I'm staying with other people, and then I'll just be like, it's a whole week gone. So next weekend / next week, next weekend I might not. The coming up weekend I might get a chance to post something, and then once I get back, I will probably be able to post a video. So yeah, it should be fun times. I will definitely keep everybody posted on my social media, so Instagram, and so my personal Instagram, but I might be posting more on my blog Instagram, in the stories and all that stuff, just so that it's easier when I meet people and things like that. If they're like, hey, where are you going to post this? I can be like, go to my blog, or go to my YouTube channel, or go to my Instagram, my blog Instagram, and it just might be easier that way. And for them to if I get tagged in anything, it's easier to just tag it that way. So I might be posting more on that. I'll post a few things in my stories on my personal one, or I'll do both. I don't know at this point. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I've looked up the schedule, kind of picked things that I like, that I want to see. There's a lot of my favorite artists that are going to be in Artist Alley, so I'm excited to see them. There's quite a few of my favorite cosplayers that are going to be there, and new cosplayers that I've started to follow. So I'm going to definitely, get to see some of the people that I've been following, and I'm really excited about it. I've already kind of started like posting on their walls or on their Instagrams, and then just kind of like saving it so I remember which booth and things that they're going to be in. But yeah, super excited about that. Next Tuesday, and I haven't started packing. Yay! I have an idea mentally what I have to pack, but I haven't started packing yet. But that will probably be this weekend, inshallah. And yeah, that's all for now. I hope you have a great night, great week, and I will see you guys real soon. Have a great one, and lots of love.